What do you mean we're down to 13 people in a kitchen that needs 20? Harlen Avery stared at the operations report on his desk. The numbers didn't lie. His 19th location just south of St. Louis was bleeding staff. Turnover had tripled in 3 months, and customer complaints had quietly started climbing. The last few emails from the district manager, a guy named Trevor, were vague. "We're handling it. Just a few growing pains. New hires incoming." But Harlen had owned this fast casual chain for 7 years. He didn't buy it. He hadn't built his company by sitting in boardrooms and reading filtered updates. He'd started with one failing burger joint he bought off a retiring couple, flipped it around, then expanded slowly, deliberately. 19 stores in 7 years, and Harlen still made time to visit them when he could. But this one? He'd never even met the kitchen crew. It had opened during the pandemic. Most of his face-to-face interactions with staff were through Zoom town halls or training videos, so no, they wouldn't recognize him. Especially not with a full beard, buzzed hair, and a fake name tag that read Kyle. He tossed on a plain uniform, tucked his phone deep in his locker, and stepped into the kitchen at 6:58 a.m. with a nervous heartbeat and a dishwasher's schedule. "New guy?" asked a woman cracking eggs over the flat top. "Yeah, Kyle," he said. "First day, great," she muttered. "Good luck." She didn't give her name. The kitchen was chaos. Steam fogged the windows. The floor was already slippery. Someone yelled, "Where's the damn bacon?" from the line. A kid no older than 16 flinched and ran to the fridge. "Let's go, Elijah," snapped a voice from the expo window. "You think we got all day?" Harlen froze mid-step. The kid Elijah apparently was barely 5'5", wearing a hairnet too big for his head. He fumbled with a tray of eggs and one slipped off. Splat. "Seriously," came the same voice. "Clean it up, and stay off the line until you stop acting like a toddler." A tall guy in his late 20s stepped out from behind the window. Name tag, Ty. He wore a manager's badge and an impatient scowl. Harlen stepped forward, grabbing a mop without being asked. "I got it," he said, nodding at Elijah. "He's got a lot going on." Ty looked him over. "You're the new dishwasher, right, Kyle? Stick to dishes." "I don't need you playing babysitter." Harlen bit down the reply forming in his throat. This wasn't the time. He gave Elijah a glance. The kid's eyes were red. He mouthed thanks and kept his head down. By noon, Harlen had seen enough to know something was wrong. Ty barked at nearly everyone under 20. He nitpicked the younger workers like Elijah, April, and a girl named Maya, but ignored older staff slacking off. A prep cook left raw chicken on the counter for 20 minutes while scrolling on his phone. Ty didn't say a word. During their 10-minute break, Harlen sat outside with Elijah and April. They shared a broken bench behind the dumpster. "You guys always get treated like that?" Harlen asked casually. April shrugged. "Only when Ty's here. He says we slow him down." "I asked for extra training once," Elijah added. "He said if I couldn't figure it out, I didn't belong here." Harlen blinked. "How long you been here?" 2 months, Elijah said. "It's my first job." Harlen looked away, something twisted in his chest. That afternoon, Ty threw a bottle of sauce across the kitchen after a mistake on a burger order. It hit the wall inches from Maya's head. She didn't even flinch. "Jesus," Harlen muttered. "Don't worry," one of the older cooks said under his breath. He saves his tantrums for the kids. At closing, Harlen helped clean grease traps and scrub the grimy floor. He was soaked in sweat, his arms sore and his jaw clenched. He hadn't expected to be this angry. Before leaving, Ty pulled him aside. "You did all right for a first day." Then, almost as an afterthought, he added, "Just don't get too friendly with the kids. They're not gonna last anyway." Harlen forced a nod. "Got it." He walked out into the night air, peeled off the cap, and stared up at the flickering sign above the store. He'd built this company to give people a chance, especially first-timers like Elijah. He remembered his own first job, how one good boss had changed his whole path. Now, one of his managers was doing the opposite. Harlen didn't sleep that night. Tomorrow morning, he was coming back. And this time, he wasn't just going to observe. Harlen returned the next morning before sunrise, still in his Kyle uniform. The same worn apron, the same loose-fitting hat. His arms ached from the previous day, but he welcomed it. It kept him tethered to the reality his title had long shielded him from. Inside, the kitchen smelled faintly of grease and burnt toast. Maya was already slicing tomatoes in silence. She didn't look up when he joined her at the prep table. "Morning," he offered. She nodded, then kept cutting. Her hands moved fast, like she'd done this 1,000 times because she probably had. She was maybe 17, maybe 18, with a quiet focus that didn't invite small talk. A few feet away, April struggled to fix the broken latch on the fridge door with a butter knife. "Been like that long?" Harlen asked. "Since last week. I told Ty," April said, "but he said to stop complaining and just shut it harder." Harlen examined it. The hinge was stripped and one of the screws was halfway out. Not only was it a health risk, it slowed them down every time they had to force it shut. They didn't need motivation talks or slogans on the wall. They needed a working fridge and a manager who actually listened. By 8, the line was already backed up. A customer had sent back an order, wrong sauce, wrong side. Ty stormed in from the front register. "Who plated this?" he barked. "This isn't complicated. Bun, patty, pickles, chipotle mayo." "What is so hard about that?" He held up the burger like it was evidence in a trial. "It was me," Maya said without hesitation. "I misread the ticket." Ty stared at her. "Unbelievable, you've been here long enough to know better." She didn't respond, just reached for another bun. Harlen opened his mouth, then shut it. "Not yet." A few minutes later, Ty tapped Harlen on the shoulder. "You're doing the backline today. Elijah's on dishes." "Thought I was on dishes again." "You're not deaf, are you?" Harlen didn't move. "He's still learning." "Why put him alone with the hardest station?" Ty leaned in slightly. "Because I don't babysit. If he can't handle soap and water, he shouldn't be on payroll." Harlen stared at him. "You ever train him?" "I'm not here to hold hands." Harlen didn't answer. He just walked back to Elijah, who was already filling the sink with shaking hands. "You okay?" he asked. "I'll figure it out," Elijah said without turning, but he didn't. A few minutes later, the machine jammed. Elijah reached in, panicked. A sharp edge sliced his palm. Blood hit the sink. "Don't move," Harlen said quickly. He grabbed paper towels and wrapped them around Elijah's hand. Ty looked up from the line. "What now?" He cut himself. "He needs a first aid kit." Ty rolled his eyes. "Can't waste half the shift over a scrape." "Put a glove on him and get him back out here." Harlen stood fully upright. "He needs medical attention. You want me to write that request down for you?" Ty blinked at him. "Who do you think you're talking to?" "I'm talking to the guy who just told a miner to glove over an open wound in a food prep station." Ty took a step forward, but Harlen didn't flinch. "I'm taking him to urgent care," Harlen said. "Now." He guided Elijah out, past the expediting window, past the dining room, out into the daylight. They sat in the waiting room of a nearby clinic for over an hour. Harlen paid the bill in cash and told Elijah not to worry about it. The kid didn't say much. But as they walked back to the restaurant, he finally asked, "Why are you helping me?" Harlen paused. "Because when I was your age, someone helped me. I never forgot it." They got back just after noon. The kitchen was even worse. Orders piled high. Maya was working 2 stations. April's ponytail was soaked with sweat. No sign of Ty. "Where's the manager?" Harlen asked. "Front parking lot," Maya said without looking up. "He's been on his phone for 20 minutes. Harlen stepped outside. Ty was leaning against the railing, scrolling. "I need to talk to you," Harlen said. Ty didn't look up. "Make it fast." Harlen took a breath. "You're done." That got Ty's attention. "Excuse me, you're done. You're not coming back in," Ty laughed. "You're a dishwasher." "No," Harlen said. "I'm Harlen Avery. I own this business. And I've been watching you degrade kids, ignore safety, and walk away when things fall apart. You're fired, right now." For a moment, Ty just stared at him, then he scoffed. "This a joke?" Harlen pulled out his phone, dialed a number, and held it up. "Hey, it's me," he said. "Ty's terminated. Effective immediately, I'll handle the handoff." He hung up. Ty stood frozen for a second before turning and walking to his car. No apology, no words, just the sound of tires peeling out of the lot. Inside, Harlen gathered the crew. They stood around the prep table, silent. "You all deserve better," he said. "I came here undercover because I heard things weren't right. What I saw went beyond that." They didn't speak. April wiped her cheek with her sleeve. "I'm putting Meyer on interim lead," Harlen continued. "Not because she's the most experienced, but because she's earned it. And because she gives a damn." Maya blinked. I don't know if you do," Harlen said, "but you're not alone." He turned to April. "You'll get official training starting this week, not some YouTube video. Real support." Then to Elijah. "You're off the schedule until your hand's healed and you're getting paid for the time." Elijah looked up, stunned. Harlen exhaled. "This store is going to change, starting now. No more shouting, no more threats. And no more pretending things are fine." He dug a small notebook from his back pocket. "Starting tomorrow, I'm spending the next week with you, every shift, every station. We fixed this together." No one clapped, no one cheered, but no one looked away either, and that was enough. By Thursday morning, the atmosphere inside the kitchen felt different but not better. Not yet. Harlen knew change didn't come with a single announcement or one person fired. It came with consistency, and that had to be earned. The staff were watchful now, cautious. They didn't know what to make of him. He wasn't wearing a suit, wasn't barking orders. He still showed up before the doors unlocked, still washed dishes, still took out trash. But his presence had thrown off the balance they were used to, especially for the older staff who'd grown comfortable under Ty's blind spots. "Table 6 wants their eggs over medium, not over easy," Maya called from the window. "Refire," Harlen said, setting the ticket aside. "I'll handle it." He dropped new eggs on the flat top and watched them cook. The griddle was running hotter than it should, something he'd noticed 2 days earlier. He'd already ordered a replacement thermostat, small stuff, but it mattered. April passed behind him, balancing a tray of bacon. "Fridge latch broke again." "I've got someone coming to fix it this afternoon," he said. "We'll keep it strapped shut with tape until then." She glanced sideways. "You're serious?" "I don't say things I don't mean." Later, in the alley behind the restaurant, Maya leaned against the wall during her break, sipping water. Harlen joined her, wiping his hands with a rag. "You've been quiet today," he said, "just trying to stay ahead." "I don't want to screw up with you watching." "I'm not here to catch mistakes," Harlen said. "I'm here to understand what it takes to keep this place going. You're doing more than anyone should have to." She hesitated, then said, "I've been doing the scheduling since last week." Ty stopped updating the system. "I didn't want the weekend to collapse." He blinked. "You're not even a lead." "I know," she said, "but someone had to." "Show me the schedule after lunch." Inside, the lunch rush came fast. A school across the street had early release, and within minutes, the front filled with teenagers and teachers ordering in waves. Harlen hopped onto the line next to April, who was struggling to plate quickly with only one functioning prep table. "Where's Darnell?" Harlen asked, scanning the room. "He left after breakfast," she said his shift was over. "He was supposed to stay through lunch." April nodded. "He always leaves early," said Ty never cared. Harlen gritted his teeth but didn't reply. He stepped in, grabbed buns, started assembling orders. An hour later, after the last tray went out, Elijah walked over from the dish pit, his injured hand still wrapped. "Can I help with dining room trash?" he asked. "I'm cleared for light stuff." "Not today," Harlen said. "You're not cleared for lifting. I want you watching tickets, see how they match with the orders going out. Let me know if anything's off." Elijah looked puzzled. "You want me on quality check?" "You've got sharp eyes," Harlen said. "And I trust your attention to detail." Elijah stood a little straighter as he moved to the window. At 2:30, Harlen finally called for a staff huddle. The kitchen had slowed, and the dining room was nearly empty. He pulled the schedule printout from Maya's clipboard and held it up. "Who knows who's supposed to be working Friday night?" No one answered. "Exactly. Because none of you have a complete schedule past Thursday. Maya's been writing it out by hand and guessing who might show up. That ends today." He turned to Maya. You're officially stepping into the shift lead role. You'll get time off the line each week to build the schedule, and you'll have access to the store system. I'll train you personally. Maya's eyebrows lifted. Wait, really? You've already been doing the work. Now you'll get the support and the pay. He turned to the rest. If anyone has issues with availability or needs changes, you go to her, but no more disappearing mid-shift. If your name's on the board, you stay until coverage is handed off. Darnell's been bailing for weeks, April said. I know, Harlen replied. I called him an hour ago. He's off the schedule indefinitely. No one argued. Later that day, a technician arrived and replaced the broken fridge latch. Harlen stayed with him, making sure the seal held and the temperature stabilized. The repair took 30 minutes but saved hours of frustration. As he returned to the kitchen, he noticed something odd. One of the prep cooks, Reggie, was standing at the back table, chatting with another line hand. Nothing urgent, nothing team-oriented. Just leaning, laughing, while others scrambled to prep for the dinner shift. Reggie, Harlen called, you finished portioning the chicken? I got 2 pans done. You were assigned 4, Reggie shrugged. It's slow now. I'll get to it. You've been off the line for 15 minutes and April just ran out of clean trays. Why are you standing around? Reggie dropped the smile. I'm not clocking extra for doing everything. If you want miracles, you better pay for them. Harlen stepped closer. You're being paid to do your job. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do your part. Look, Reggie said, Ty never had a problem with how I worked. I'm not Ty, Reggie crossed his arms. So what, I'm getting written up for talking now? Harlen didn't raise his voice. You're getting replaced. You can grab your things. Reggie stared at him. You're serious? You've had days to step up. You had the chance to support your team and chose not to. There's no place for that here. Reggie shook his head, muttered something under his breath, then walked out. Back inside, Harlen gathered the team again. Let me be clear, he said. Being here means being part of something. It doesn't mean perfection. It means effort. It means respect. And it means carrying your share. He looked around the room. If anyone doesn't want that, I won't stop you from leaving. But if you stay, we move forward together. He paused. Tomorrow, I'm bringing someone in to help us run this right. Someone who's run kitchens before and knows what fair leadership looks like. Maya will still handle the floor, but you'll have backup. April raised a hand. Is it someone from another store? No, someone from outside, fresh eyes. The next day, a woman named Celeste arrived just before dawn. Early 40s, sharp eyes, calm voice. Harlen had worked with her years ago during a turnaround at another location. She'd rebuilt that team from the ground up. You're not here to take over, Harlen told her. You're here to reinforce what they're building. Celeste nodded. Understood. That Friday night, with Celeste on site and Maya running the line, the kitchen hit its stride. Orders moved faster, communication sharpened. When a fryer broke mid-rush, no one panicked. They rerouted the orders, kept moving. At the end of the night, Maya leaned against the counter, sweat on her forehead. We didn't crash. You held the wheel, Harlen said. You earned this. She didn't answer, but her posture said enough. Harlen stood outside that night, watching the last few lights turn off inside. There was still work to do, training to finish. A culture to rebuild, but the foundation was finally in place. And for the first time in weeks, he didn't feel like a visitor in his own company. He felt like he was home. The following week, Harlen kept his word. He arrived before sunrise every day, rotating through stations. He worked fryer on Monday, expo Tuesday, then spent Wednesday shadowing Meyer as she managed prep, inventory, and crew coverage. It was deliberate. He didn't want to hover. He wanted to learn where the cracks still ran deep. By Thursday, one thing was clear. While the tone had changed, the staffing pressure hadn't. They were still running short by at least 4 people across the week. Several applicants had no-showed interviews, and one new hire quit mid-shift after being asked to restock the walk-in. Harlen stood outside by the loading dock after lunch, watching Celeste check off a delivery. The truck driver handed her a clipboard and climbed back into the cab without a word. They shorted us again, he asked. 2 boxes of mixed greens, Celeste said. That's the 3rd time this week, he exhaled slowly. I'll call the supplier. You might want to start looking for a backup, she said. It's not just us, they're stretched, he nodded. I'll handle it. Any issues with the crew, she shook her head. They're tired but trying. Elijah's adjusting fine to the new station. April's getting more vocal. Maya's managing with instinct, but she needs some formal tools, structure. I've got something in the works, he said. I'm meeting with Ops next week about standardizing shift lead training, not just videos, on-site modules. Real walkthroughs. Celeste folded the clipboard under her arm. Good, they're ready for it. Just don't wait too long. They've had to carry more than they should. He nodded again, then turned and walked back inside. At the prep table, Maya was going over counts with April, who was scribbling on a notepad. There was a quiet rhythm between them now, unspoken but efficient. No wasted movement, no second guessing. April, Harlen said, how comfortable would you be training a new hire next week? She looked up, surprised. Me. You've learned every station in the last month. You've picked up systems without anyone walking you through them. I'd like you to train someone the right way. Start from the beginning, she hesitated. I could try. Don't try, he said. Do it, you'll have backup, but I want them to learn from someone who cares about doing it right. She glanced at Maya, then nodded. Okay. That evening, after closing, Harlen sat with Maya near the back hallway where the light buzzed overhead. She was still in her apron, hair tied back, flipping through a spiral-bound notebook. You're not off until you close the books, he asked. Inventory's off, she said. I think someone pulled stock from the Friday bin. It threw off counts. He sat across from her. We need to start automating this. You shouldn't be spending your nights correcting mistakes. I don't mind, she said. At least now I know it matters. He leaned forward. Maya, what do you want to do next? She blinked. What do you mean, long term? You've done more than most shift leads I've seen in stores twice this size. I want to know what you're aiming for. She looked down at her notebook. I don't know. I never thought about it like that. Think about it, he said. Because I'm building a training program for future general managers, and if you're interested, I want you in the first round. She didn't answer right away. Then finally, I'd like that. I think I'd be good at it. You already are. You just need the tools. The next day, Harlen met with district staff at one of the regional offices. He came in early, carrying a laptop and a folder filled with handwritten notes. At the table sat 3 regional managers and his operations lead, Marcy, who had been with him since store number 4. I'm making 3 changes, he said, no preamble. First, we're rebuilding the shift lead training from the ground up. It's going to be in store, hands-on and mandatory. Marcy nodded. Agreed. I've been pushing for that. Second, we're implementing a work audit system, monthly reviews, anonymous staff input, and surprise in-person visits by someone not tied to that location. No more everything's fine reports while the store's burning. One of the regional managers shifted uncomfortably. That's going to disrupt a lot of routines. Good, Harlen said. Disruption is overdue. He opened the folder, pulled out a stack of notes. Third, we're launching a reporting hotline. Direct to my office. Not for complaints, just a short-form feedback line. I want to know what's working and what isn't from the people doing the work. Marcy leaned forward. You're serious about keeping this personal? He met her eyes. I have to be. I let distance turn into blindness. That's done. Back at the store that weekend, he pulled Celeste aside before her shift ended. I want you to stay on, he said. Not just here, but across the region. I need someone who understands how to rebuild culture and hold people accountable without burning them out. Her expression didn't change. You're offering me a regional training role. I'm offering you authority to enforce standards across every location. And the freedom to teach managers what it means to actually lead. She nodded once. I'll need a team. You'll have one. Later that afternoon, Harlen stood by the counter, watching Elijah box an order for a family with 2 kids. The boy at the counter pointed excitedly at the milkshake machine, and Elijah crouched slightly to explain how it worked, not rushing, not distracted. When the family left, Harlen walked over. "You handled that well," he said. Elijah smiled faintly. "They reminded me of my little cousins. I wanted them to get a good experience. You gave them one," Harlen said, "and you've come a long way." Elijah looked down at his hands. The bandage was gone. The scar was small, almost invisible, but the difference in how he stood, shoulders squared, eyes steady, that was unmistakable. "I almost quit that first week," Elijah said. "Thought I couldn't handle it." "I'm glad you didn't," Harlen said. "You belong here." As the dinner rush picked up, Harlen stepped back into the kitchen. Maya was already at the expo window calling out orders. April was plating with calm precision. Even the new hire, barely 2 days in, was moving with confidence under April's direction. Celeste passed him a clipboard. "Staffing plan for next week. We're short one for Friday, but April already offered to cover part of the gap. We'll get her a bonus," Harlen said. "No one should be picking up slack for free." He moved to the back, grabbed a towel, and cleaned down the prep station without being asked. They still had work to do. He'd never pretend otherwise. But the foundation was no longer cracked. It was solid. Built on people who cared, led by those who listened, and protected by a system that finally worked. And this time, he wasn't watching from a distance, he was part of it. Every shift, every fix, every step forward, exactly where he was supposed to be.